Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today, since the new year is arriving, I thought we could do something a little interesting. And for some background for this, as you can clearly see, we're talking about dating apps and you. Indeed. So for this PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to be talking about dating apps, you, and how you can avoid scams using my own experiences, personally. Um, I've been using dating apps for 2 years, and while messing around with some of them, I got into this fun little game where I mess with scammers, and it is just so much fun to do because they get upset and priceless. And it's kind of this nice little cat and mouse game, especially it's something I can do while I'm doing other things, like when I'm doing my real job and I have a little bit of downtime. I can just open up an app on a phone while I'm waiting for something to happen, and I can just message some scammers and stuff like that. So everything I'm going to be talking about is my own experiences as a guy on a dating app. For women, I'm assuming women have some scammers as well out there that are doing stuff. So a lot of this could apply to you as well, women, stuff like that. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking about all of this, my own experiences, and some hilarity and fun stuff along the way, and various ways that you can avoid scams and stuff like that. So let's dive into it and get started. So let's break down what you want to look for with dating apps and avoiding scams. The first one is you want to look for trustworthy apps. Make sure you're not using anything sketchy. We're going to go over some common scams that I see. We're going to be going over how to spot fake profiles. And then we're going to be going over the wording and the emotions that the scammers try to do in order to get you drawn in and willing to give them money. So let's start with knowing trustworthy apps. So what you want to do, look for popular apps. Think Tinder, Hinge, Bumble. I've used all three of those, and I have had basically no matches, which is a good sign, because if you have no matches, it means that there aren't scammers that are trying to get you. Now, I have had a couple on Tinder that have been scammers, and I have had a lot of people on Tinder who ended up just being like Instagram models or whatever, advertising their Instagram. They'll just like drop you a link to their Instagram and then not say anything at all. Yeah, fun stuff. Hinge and Bumble, on the other hand, haven't really had much scammer-related stuff, but then again, whatever. I mean, I live in a rural area where there's not many people to begin with anyway. I'm sure I would have more, hits and stuff if it were like LA or something where there's just a higher population density, but I just kind of live away from everyone. And not a lot of people are like, oh, this person from 1,000 miles away, sure, I'll swipe right on them and date them. So it's whatever. So, but look for ones that have a lot of downloads and a lot of good reviews, right? But you don't want to just focus on the reviews, because scam apps are going to scam app, and they're going to have fake accounts that are like, this app is great. Or the scammers themselves who have downloaded the app are going to want to make it look more appealing. So they're going to leave a review and they're going to be like, this app is great, whatever. So look at the 1-star reviews on every app you're going to try to download, right? These tell the truth, because the 1-star apps are the real people who have had a shit experience on that app. I have left 1-star reviews on every app that I've used that has been a scammer's paradise. And it's just garbage, right? I've been like, yeah, there's a bunch of scammers. They'll match with you a lot and yada, yada, yada. And then the 5-star reviews, they're usually just generic lies. Very basic information. They don't really go into much detail and all that kind of stuff. So look at the 1-star reviews and you'll get a good picture of what the app really entails. You're going to want to avoid any apps where you get a lot of matches right away. If you have gotten like 10 matches or 10 likes or whatever within minutes of you making an account, that's a red flag. That means that there's a bunch of people who are just swiping right on everyone in order to get as many targets or potential targets as possible. If they don't care about you or whatever, they'll just swipe right on everyone, and because you're a new account and they've already swiped right on everyone who was already available, the new accounts are the first ones they're going to see, so there's why you're going to be getting the very first swipe and the very first matches within minutes of your experience. There's one app I have where I don't think I've been under 100 plus likes uh, for weeks or months. I've tried. I always, since I'm trying to mess with scammers, I swipe right on everyone, right? And if I find someone who's not a scammer, which rarely happens, very rarely happens, we have a nice conversation. But my God, there's just so many fake profiles on there that are crazy, right? And another thing you're gonna want to look for is avoiding apps that spam you with ads, right? Because if they're gonna be showing you like an ad every 5 swipes on accounts, they're only in it for the money. They don't really care about controlling the scammer population of their app. Even if they do ban some people here and there, they don't really have things in place that prevent scammers from just creating a new account and accessing the app that way. I believe Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble have better ways to secure against scammers. So, it's good like that. But like other apps, just garbage. They're just garbage at it because they don't care. They just want you to play ads and get the revenue from that. I think there's a couple of apps that I've downloaded where every like 8 or so swipes, even if it was yes or no swipes, they would show you an ad for like 10, 15 seconds, however long the ads usually are on there. It was awful. There was another app that all the 1-star apps were like, yeah, one-star reviews. They were all like, yeah, this app sucks. Like, you can't do anything without getting an ad. You try to send a message, you get an ad. You try to view a message, you get an ad. You swap screens on the app, you get an ad. That one was actually hilarious to do, and that's how I found out how to do ad blocker on my phone, because I wanted to mess with scammers on that app and not get spammed with a bunch of ads. So that has been very fortunate for me, because without the want to scam these scammers, I don't really scam them, I just waste their time so they can't scam other people. I would not have found out how to ad block stuff on my phone. So for me, but yeah, that's kind of how you want to look for trustworthy apps and kind of go from there. So let's move on to the next one, which is spotting fake profiles. So some of this stuff's going to be pretty obvious to anyone who's used dating apps before. A lot of fake profiles have no information at all. They have like 1, maybe 2 pictures. That's a red flag. If they have no bio information or about information or any other information filled out, that's a red flag. You know how like on Tinder, they have the about section and they have like these prompts, and then there's a bunch of like, do you exercise frequently? Do you smoke? Do you drink? If they have none of that filled out, none of that basic, like takes maybe 5 minutes to fill out information, they're probably a scammer. That's a red flag. And if they have links to chatting apps and stuff like that in their bio, that's also a red flag. So a lot of these scammers are going to be people who put like their Telegram or their Zangi or their WhatsApp or whatever in their bio. That way anyone who's looking at their profile could just add it right away, and they don't have to go about talking to someone. They can just go directly into an off-site app where they can talk about whatever they want without getting banned on that dating app, right? Or they're just accounts that have links to their Instagrams or OnlyFans, stuff like that. Because those aren't going to be people who are actually interested in dating. They just want you to go look at their content, get them views, and maybe buy their stuff, right? The next thing you want to look for is blurry or pixelated pictures. It's a very good sign that they just pulled these pictures from somewhere else on the internet and they weren't the actual ones who took them themselves. As you pass pictures around online, stuff like that, saving quality kind of gets lower and lower time, especially if you do it in a poor way or you convert files back and forth. It's just not good, right? Another huge red flag is seeing the same person's pictures on multiple profiles. Huge red flag. I have seen this a lot. On one app I'm using, there is someone or a group of people who are using the name Aaron on a Asian girl's profile, and it's the same Asian girl every time, and it's like always Aaron. I don't know why they like the name Aaron so much, or why they decided they can't change the name, but yeah, they're a crypto scammer, try to get you into crypto and do stuff like that. But yeah, another thing, seeing famous individuals or content creators' pictures is also a huge red flag because, let's be honest, they don't need the help of a dating app if they're famous, okay? They could just be like, hey, fan A, let's date, and boom, done, right? Or they're, attractive enough to just go out into the real world and find someone out there, right? So you're going to be someone who does not necessarily need to have a thing, right? So if you got like Kim Kardashian on a dating profile, right? I haven't seen that, but I have seen a lot of adult content creators on the app, and I've actually just recently, in the last like day, started saving links to all of the ones that I can find, and I already have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I already have 9 different women who I could very easily find their image sources from, right? They're the women who these scammers are using to say like, oh, I'm this woman, yada, yada, yada. I live close to you, but the profile that is actually online says they're in like Florida, or they have pictures that are clearly having trees in the background that are not native to where they say they live. Like, I live in a place that has a chilly climate, so you're not going to find palm trees if you're in my area. And yet the people who are saying, oh yeah, I live like a mile from you, and they're like, I just took this picture, here you go. Why are there palm trees in the background, right? Funny. Another thing that's a huge red flag is profiles without any pictures at all. Maybe they have no pictures. Maybe they just have like a black screen. Maybe they have memes or other stuff only for their profile pictures. There is the app Telegram has like this QR code thing that I've seen a couple of scammers just throw up instead of like a profile picture for their face. Yeah, they might not be a scammer. Maybe they're just someone who's shy or doesn't like to have a lot of pictures of themselves. But why would you want to waste your time with someone who doesn't even want to post a single picture of themselves? So just avoid those. Okay? Avoid all that. Next, let's move on to the next thing, which is going to be wording and emotions. The way that they talk to you and all that. So do they immediately, from the moment they met you, maybe a little bit in, they're going to start calling you hun or babe or dear or darling or baby, stuff like that? Do they immediately try to get into that lovey-dovey, intimate kind of space with you, right? A lot of scammers, they want to get you emotionally involved with them right away, because if you're emotionally involved, you're more willing to give them money, right? Because, I mean, I'm not going to give some random person I've never met any money, but if, there's someone who's like, oh, I love you, you're so cool, yada, yada, I might be a little more inclined to give them money. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to, because I avoid scammers, but someone else might be more inclined. Do they say things weird? It just seems off. Like, I am Plagen by name when introducing themselves, rather than my name is Plagen, right? That's kind of odd. Why do they word it like that? If they say, what is your best color, or best food, or best pizza, using the word best instead of favorite. Any weird phrase that makes sense, but is just phrased weirdly, or they have weird words in there, right? It's usually a good indication that this is not their first language and that they're lying about who they are. Um, Now, I'm not saying there aren't people from, oh, I born in France, I moved to the US, and, I just have, you know, English second language, right? I'm not saying that. There are people out there who are like that. But what I am saying is that the person has a very clearly, like, for me, for example, I'm American. Um, so I'm looking at American women, right? And all the people that I'm talking to appear to be American women. Um, when they say stuff that doesn't really seem American to me, because it's pronounced weird or they say odd things, definitely an indication to me that they're not born, raised in the US, and that they're probably someone who lives in Nigeria or China or something, who is just using like a translator app, or who has English as their second language or something like that, and they're just doing their best to convert what their world or what their language says into our language, and that's why it comes out differently. The other thing is, are they concocting a story that makes you feel sorry for them? Like, oh, I just moved to town after my parents died. I lost my job recently. Um, One that I literally just had yesterday said that they were Ukrainian and that they were trying to flee the country so that they did not get caught up in the war. And they were like, oh, babe, I love you. Like, I want to be your husband. Actually, I'm going to talk about that one later. It comes up in another slide. So we'll just hold that aside for now. Do they say weird words that like don't make any sense? Like, Ale or Agban? These are words used by Nigerian scammers to identify one another. If you ask them what these words mean, they'll just play it off or ignore your question. They'll be like, oh, that was just a typo, sorry. The first one I found, LA, has been very useful because if you say it back, usually they'll reply back with some other, what language is it? It's like Yoban, it's some Nigerian language. They'll reply back with something that usually means go with peace, brother, or something like that. Or they'll say it in English with like some crying emojis and like hands praying or clapping or something like that. And then they'll just stop talking to you because you identified yourself as a scammer as well when you said LA back. You can also just say that yourself randomly, and then they'll just kind of sneak it out if they don't say it first, right? It's just kind of funny. What I like to do is, after I've strung along the scammer for a while and they're starting to get irate and looking like they're going to stop talking to me, I like to sneak that in there just to really piss them off, like make them think that I was actually a scammer the whole time and messing with them. And they're like, why did you do this, brother? Why? We are two peas of a pod. It just gets upset. And the second word is one that I actually saw recently, which I believe means like older brother or something. If I actually Google it real quick, Egbon meaning, it is a Yoruba word that literally means a senior or elder or elderly one in Yoruba. So yeah, I figured they probably were talking about that because I had been on the app for a while and they saw that and they were like, oh, he must be a senior scammer to me because my account is only like a day old, right? So he was like, yada yada, right? The other thing, and the last thing on this slide I'm going to talk about is when you ask them what they're doing, they just say nothing. What are your plans for the weekend? Nothing. Or I don't know. Or they don't elaborate much about themselves, Like, I've had a couple that have had pets or tattoos, for example. I've asked them about their pets or tattoos, and they're just like, what's that tattoo? And I'm just like, what's that tattoo? And then they were like, oh, one of them said that they had got paid by their modeling company to get the tattoo, and that they were in the process of getting the tattoos removed or something like that, something weird. They didn't elaborate about what like the tattoos were, what they represented. There have been a couple that have had like anime tattoos, and I've been like, oh, I really like that. tattoo you got there. What is that from?" And they're just like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Or they were like trying not to give an answer because they clearly didn't know, stuff like that. I also had one with pets that had three pets. They had sent me a picture of a cat and two dogs, and I was like, "Oh, what are their names?" And they were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, the pets. What are their names?" And then they sent me back just three like random human names. I think it was like Chad, Joe, and something else. But they were like the most generic like human names you could think of. Like very clearly, they just like picked three random human names off the top of their head rather than like thinking about what are dogs usually called, right? I just said that, and I was like, okay, which is which? And they were like, what do you mean? Those are the names of the pet, right? And I was like, yeah, but which pet is what name, right? And they were like, the cat is Joe. And I was like, okay, um, what are the dogs' names? And they were like, Chad and whatever the other one was. I was like, okay, yeah, but which is which, right? They weren't very forthcoming with information. Anyone who has pets is gonna want to talk about them and like elaborate, like, oh my god, this is my little guy, Chad, right? Chad is such a good little cat. He's so cool. He's an orange brown, or whatever the hell the cat breeds are. I then asked the breed of the dogs, and they didn't really elaborate either. I think they said GSD or whatever. I think that means German Shepherd. One of them was a German Shepherd. The other one was a Husky. But that's all they said. They just said German Shepherd. They didn't say the other one's breed. And I was like, okay, so clearly you're not the owner of these pets. These are just random pictures you got online. Gotcha. Right? So keep an eye out for that. Uh, Continuing on to wording, uh, sometimes they'll just send you what appears to be a wall of AI generated text. Stuff that seems to say a lot of stuff, but is really just nothing. Nothing at all. Like, I am a woman in public, but I might wink at you and let you wonder what I have in mind for later. I have missed doing that. I wish to share with that someone special again. Right? Like, what is that even trying to say? Right? You want to, like, be mysterious while we're in public and wonder what we're going to be doing, and you want to do them special. There's like better ways to say that, right? But it's like that weird way that AI generates like stories and stuff, like kind of weird like that. Um, and then as far as gifts, I am a sucker for anything from the heart that truly represents a relationship, be it husband slash wife or parent slash child. That is both giving and receiving. I take great pride in spending a lot of time picking out gifts and cards that I give, and flowers cut or potted are nice. Well, I did receive a gift from an ex on beautiful Val's Day. First of all, it's weird that there is no space between the punctuation here at all. After gifts, there's no space after the comma. After the end of the sentences for like parent and child, there's no space after the period there. It's also weird that at the end here, where it says, well, I did receive a gift from my ex on beautiful Val's Day. It's weird that the capitals are like every other word, or like the main words other than from and mine, whatever. Also, they called it beautiful Val's Day, which is like, what are you talking about? And these are actually some from the same person. After a while of getting these, I was like, hey, can you stop sending me AI generated garbage? And they were like, okay. Like, Jesus Christ. But after the second one, I had replied something like, oh, okay, that's cool. Something really generic, because I wasn't going to spend my time replying to something that was AI generated, right? They then just immediately said, talking on flowers, I like daffodils, irises, yada, yada, yada. I also love flowers that have purple and yellow together, like irises or passion flowers. When it comes to flowers, I choose based on color and smell more than anything, though. But I don't like yellow roses. First of all, I choose based on color and smell more than anything, though. What else are you going to choose flowers on? What do you mean? That's just a whole nothing sentence. Because it's just something that AI would come up with because That's just how AI works, right? Also, let me look up passion flowers. So those are, okay, yeah, they're purple and yellow. What about the other one they said, like irises? I don't really know colors. Okay, so those are actually purple and yellow. Good on that. But are there even yellow roses? Like, are those things that exist? Apparently they are. I did not know that. I guess you can make any color of rose just by taking a white rose and then being like dye as well. So that's a thing. But anyway, yeah. So like they're just the only reason they're talking about flowers here is because the AI had talked about flowers in the previous paragraph, and I think that's funny. And then up here you can see where it talks about someone special someday. I'm pretty sure that's why I started talking about Valentine's Day down here, is because the AI was like, "Oh, we're talking about romance and special someone. What's a special day when stuff's involved like that? Oh, it's Valentine's Day." And you can kind of see like a correlation between these, where there's like some AI train of thought going. Right? It's just some funny stuff. Let's move on. So let's go through how pretty much 90% of my interactions with scammers go. We're going to go through like a script here. So they'll say, hello. You'll reply probably with like, hello, how are you doing? Yada, 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 whatever. They'll reply, how are you? Or they'll reply to you saying, how are you? Like, I'm good, and you? Right? And then you'll reply again. They'll then ask at some point, where are you from? And you'll reply, even though this information is on your profile. And then if you ask where they're from, they might ignore you, or they might tell you, oh my God, me too. They're also from there, or they're from a town close to you. I think in like maybe 10% of cases, they'll actually be like, oh yeah, I'm from New York or LA or somewhere further away from you, for whatever reason. Or sometimes if they're playing like a long game, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm from Ukraine, like I had mentioned earlier, something like that. If they're doing a more elaborate scam on you. But they'll say where they're from if you ask. Usually it'll be a town close to yours, like I said, or sometimes far away. Very rarely it's the place they say on their profile, though. I've only had, like I said, like maybe not even 10%, but like the 5% say that they're from where they're actually from on their profile, right? It's funny. Then you'll ask, or then they'll ask, how old are you? And then you'll tell them or lie or whatever. Even though your age is very obviously on your profile for anyone who like pays attention, they'll then ask, are you single or married? Which is a question that they always ask. I don't know why. It's like, why else would you be on a dating app if you're not single? Now, I know there are like poly couples on here, but you can usually assume that they're single. Why does that question even matter? It's a dating app. Obviously, they're there for like a hookup or dating or something. So what does it matter if they're single or married, right? They just do that to get information about you so they can use it against you, right? And we'll come to that in a little bit. What are you looking for on here is what they'll ask, because they want to know if you're here for a hookup. They want to know if you're here for a real relationship, because they want to know which way to take the direction of the scam in order to really milk it. You can also ask some of these questions to them before, and then they'll usually reply with some stuff. If you ask where they're from beforehand, however, usually they'll try to ignore that question so that they can be the ones to ask it. Like you'll ask where they're from, and then they'll stop talking to you for like a day, and then the next day they'll message you something else so they can avoid it, or they'll ask you a different question and not answer that question. Sometimes they'll actually have a brain, and they'll reply saying that they're in the town that's listed on your profile. Or they'll actually say where they're located on their profile or something like that, and then after you tell them that, oh yeah, I'm nowhere near you, they'll kind of just stop replying. Like, this fucking scam didn't work out, I'll find an easier target to do, right? But yeah, and then there, and then after some talking, maybe you'll just talk about random generic shit that no one really cares about. They'll ask, do you want to go talk somewhere else? Do you have, and then they'll list something. Usually the ones that I get together are iMessage or WhatsApp. I get a lot of people who are like, do you have Zangi or do you have Telegram? Rarer ones are a combination of, they'll ask for Facebook and Instagram. or they'll just ask for wire, or they'll ask for signal. Yeah, but it's usually the ones that go together. Like, I don't know why some scammers do this, but it's like WhatsApp is usually asked by itself, because WhatsApp, I believe, is tied to your phone number. So if you give them your WhatsApp, um, they can get your phone number, right? Easy as that. Same with like iMessage, I believe, and Signal, I believe, also goes off your phone number. If I remember correctly, I think you can maybe hide it, but it's complicated. Facebook and Instagram, pretty obvious that they just want to get more personal information from you by using those. Because if they have access to your Facebook and Instagram, they can look up your information, like your pictures, where you're from, your family and friends. That way they can kind of build a profile on you to scam you or use it against you in blackmail, right? Uh, I remember downloading and using Wire for like a time, same with Signal. But the main ones that I try to use are Telegram and Zangi, because you can hide your phone number on them. And they're, with Zangi, you have like this unique number for Zangi itself and not like a telephone number. And for Telegram, you just have like a username. And in both of them, you can choose to like hide your phone number from everyone. So no one can see your phone number talking to them, right? So yeah. So like I said, the things could slightly vary in what they ask you, how they ask you, but they always usually ask you these specific questions. The common trend is they, ask you stuff that's already on your profile, like your age and location. Because they never looked at your profile, they don't care about your profile. I have something on my profile that says, hey, if you're real, message me like a number, right? I'm like, message me the number 13 and I'll know you're real. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're a scammer. And so far, I've had one person who has replied to me with 2, which is the number I currently have showing up. I kind of change it every once in a while. However, I think they were also a scammer because of the way the thing panned out. They also didn't talk to me for very long. I think it became evident that they realized what I was doing and I was going to waste their time, so they just left real quick. Because their profile was also like a 1-day-old profile with no information on it. So, yeah. Anyway, right. One thing I do want to mention about Telegram, however, is that's my favorite one to use because the scammers are freaking idiots. They're dumb. So in Telegram, there's an option to choose to have your phone number visible or not. And I think by default it's on. So your phone number is visible to whoever you're messaging. However, the scammers either don't realize this or they forget about this setting. And so you can see their phone number and then the area code, or what usually ends up giving them away is their country code. Because the country code for the US is +1. Okay? I have seen Nigeria very frequently with the apps that I'm using, and that is a plus 234 area code. And then I believe I saw one other one. I believe it was next to Nigeria. It was Ghana, which is plus 233, number like that. And so I'll waste their time, and I'll, at the end, once I feel them like getting off the hook and trying to like end the conversation or whatnot, I'll send them a picture of that and be like, "You're a fucking idiot. You're a fool. You're an idiot." And yeah, they usually like lose their shit. They will delete the picture that I sent them of their phone number on there. They'll remove the picture or the phone number from their profile, and they'll just be like, "That's not my phone number." One of them had said, "Oh yeah, my husband was Nigerian, and I'm using his phone number for this account." Oh yeah, sure you are, sure. Okay. But they get really upset, and that's the best part, is when they just get upset and lose their shit. Let's move on. So you can't trust anything is the next one. Pardon me while I take a drink. So, people upload their whole lives to social media sites nowadays, and anyone can use their pictures. Have you uploaded stuff to Instagram, to Facebook, to other places where anyone can just right click save as or screenshot your pictures. Then someone probably can use your pictures. The dating app scam. Video calls, they can be faked. Had this happen a couple of times. So there are apps like Dreamface, for example, where you can take a picture of a real person and it'll be like animated, like it's real, like they'll like have hand movements, stuff like that are like happening, and like they'll look back and forth, look like they're doing stuff, and then the cameras will usually add audio over the top of it, like a song or something, to like make it look like they're moving to the music or whatever. It's funny. The way I found out about Dreamface, however, is because the scammer was such an idiot that they sent me the one that had the Dreamface watermark on it. And they immediately sent, after that, the same video, but without the watermark on it. And I was like, huh, what is Dreamface? So I looked it up, and it was like, oh yeah, you can literally just take anyone's picture, put it in here, and it'll animate it. And I'm like, gotcha. Then I asked them about that, and they got really defensive and really upset. They deleted the one that had the watermark on it, and they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. What is Dream app? You know, huge red flag. Very funny. They also like to use pre-recorded videos while talking to you, where they just have like some random like Instagram model or some other e-girl or whatever, who is like talking to their fans or whatever in general. They're like, hi baby, how are you doing? Stuff like that, right? If you ask specific questions or try to make them do certain things in these pre-recorded videos, if you're suspicious, you can tell if it is or is not pre-recorded. Because if you're like, hey, put your hand on your head and rub your belly at the same time, and they don't do that, or the video ends, you can be pretty sure that it was a pre-recorded video they were using the whole time. I wouldn't really recommend you FaceTime or do a video chat with a person you potentially think is a scammer, because if you do that, then they can take your video and use it against other people as well, because they're probably going to be downloading any pictures you send them, any videos, or whatever heck else you send them in order to use your stuff against other people, because that's just what they'll do. Again, they also have AI voices that they can use that are pretty close to reality, so be careful trusting someone just because they sent you like an audio clip of their voice. There's a couple of them that have done this to me. Sent me very like weirdly like poor quality voice line clips that have just kind of sounded off to me. And I was like, kind of weird. Like, why are you even sending me voice messages in the first place? Kind of odd. But when in doubt, ask them for a very specific picture. Be like, hey, I'm not entirely sure you're really who you're saying you are. Let's exchange some pictures. I want you to take a very specific picture. Just take a selfie of you holding up 3 fingers and also a piece of paper that has my name and today's date on it. That way I can tell you are actually who you say you are. And then if you want me to take a similar picture or whatever you want just to confirm that I'm also real, we can do that. So far, no one has taken me up on this offer. Exactly. They have tried. The best one that I've had was someone found a picture of the woman they were impersonating, who had held up a picture, and then they had like photoshopped it to take away whatever the picture had originally said, and then in Photoshop, whatever, they wrote in my name that I was using and the date, and sent me that. And so I just took that picture and reverse image searched it, found the original picture, sent that to them, and I was like, huh, it's almost like you photoshopped the picture you sent. And they got pissed off and ran away. Funny stuff, right? But yeah, if you can, usually get them to send you a very specific picture, you'll know that. I asked for one to send me just them holding up 3 fingers, just 3 fingers. They sent me one where they were holding up 2, doing the usual peace sign thing, right? Or one of them sent me, when I asked for like 2 fingers being held up, they sent me one where they like were just holding 2 fingers to their face, but they had a third one extended to support their head. So it wasn't really what I was asking for. They like just found the closest thing. So that's why you got to be specific. Ask for like a piece of paper with your name and date on it, or even maybe just writing on themselves, like writing on their arm if they have to, right? Just get that extra added security that they are who they're saying they are, right? One other thing that you should absolutely find, if you are ever suspicious of someone not being who they say they are, find a reliable reverse image search engine that works well with humans. Google was good for this until I think this year earlier, where they ruined the ability to reverse image search people. You can reverse image search like anything else, like shoes or whatever. If you try to specifically focus on humans or send like selfies through it, it just gives you no information. Which they did for like privacy concerns, so people couldn't like stalk other people, right? Which makes sense, but it also ruined the ability for you to tell if you are being scammed by a scam or not. One site I use, I think, is not a very legit site and isn't actually the best, so I probably want to find a different one. So I'm not going to give you the link to that one, but if you just like look up online like reverse image search engines, you can probably find a few that you can use. But these will show you where their pictures came from. It'll show you how old the pictures are and specifically who they came from. And that is how I tracked down those, what did I say, 9 like OnlyFans women who they had been stealing pictures from, or the scammers that I've talked to in the last day. Fun stuff. Moving on, let's get into the actual scams now. So there's 3 common ones that I've encountered that I would say probably 90% of the scammers use. Let's break these down. So first up, we have prostitution scams. These are the ones where they say, oh, I want to have fun, but I charge, right? They'll word it and they'll say like, when you ask them what they're looking for here, they'll say, I'm looking for fun, or I'm looking for a hookup, or a meetup, or something like that. They might also say, I do like neuro massage, or erotic massages with happy endings, stuff like that. Anyone who has like masseuse in their bio, they're probably going to ask you if you want to buy a massage from them with a happy ending, or they're just going to be like, I sell nudes, which isn't specifically prostitute, right? You can sell nudes and not be a prostitute. But they'll also just try to sell you nudes because they're just going to sell you sexual stuff, right? Because they can get the nudes from the women online. And that means they can just something that already exists, right? So look out for those. Anyone who's like, yeah, I'm going to sell you my body. Not only is it illegal in most places like the US where I live, yeah, just don't do that. If someone asks you for that, just walk away. I think the funniest thing to me is that the people who run these scams, they don't realize that a hookup and a meetup are not usually paid for in reality, right? That's just not what happens. I think they've somehow someone told them at like one time that like, oh my god, yes, all the US people, they exchange money and they hook up with each other and they're just the whole prostitutes all over the place, right? For some reason they don't understand that hookup is just 2 people having sex, right? They do not understand that. I tried to explain it to one and they lost their shit. It was funny. If you tell them that you don't buy things from them, or you just want to have fun without paying, they'll be like, well, fun isn't free, or nothing's free in life, or shit like that. They'll be like, oh yeah, you gotta pay. The second scam that I usually encounter is people with kids. So they'll tell you that they live with kids, that in order for you to meet them, usually they say that, oh, I want to have sex, or I want to get laid, or I want you to come over, or something like that. You have to get a gift card in order to distract their kids so you can meet with them, right? Um, they're either going to be a single mom, a wife whose husband is away or they're in the process of a divorce, or a woman who is living with family or friends who have kids. Very common. It's like, my husband's away on business and I'm looking for someone who can come over and just fuck me, right? Or another one that's like, yeah, I live with my uncle and his kids, or my aunt and her kids, and my aunt or uncle's out of town, so I'm watching the kids, so I can't go to you, but you can come to me. And if you just get me on your way here, get us some condoms, some alcohol, and of course, forget this, you gotta pick up a Razor Gold card to distract the kids with so they don't find out about us. Because I don't want them telling their mother, or I don't want them telling my grandmother, or their grandmother, my mother, yada yada yada, or I don't want my husband to find out, or something like that. They don't want their kids to know about you, right? Obviously. And of course, as you being a reasonable adult will be like, yeah, I mean, I don't want the kids to know either, but why don't we meet up while they're at school? Or why don't we meet up when they're at a friend's house or something? And in no way, I've tried every possible way to mess with these kid scammers. There's no way that you can possibly devise to trip them up in order to get them to be like, shit, you right, we can do that. They always have an excuse for something. Wait till they're at school. Oh, they're homeschooled. Wait till they go play with friends. Oh, they don't have friends. Or if they want to go to a friend's place, yeah, you got to give them a Razor Gold card so they can go load a game into their friend's system. And they always say it weird, like the gold card is going to let them load a game into their game box thing. It's so weird, stupid. Yeah, it's just dumb. So anyone who says that they have kids or they live with kids is going to be a huge red flag, especially if they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so horny. I just need someone to fuck me." First of all, huge red flag right there. Especially if they say they live with kids. Just walk away. And then there's the gas scam, which is honestly one of the most reasonable scams, but also one of the most obvious, right? So they tell you that they want to meet up. However, like, I'm going to come over and we'll spend time together and maybe we'll have a little bit of fun. However, their car is out of gas, so you have to give them money for gas because they don't have money or they don't have a job, or stuff like that. And just think about this for a minute. In all your life, how many times have you ever had someone be out of gas? Like, legitimately. Like, they're at home and they're out of gas, or they only have enough gas to get to the gas station. It's the funniest shit. Similar to this, there's another thing that kind of ties into this. They'll start driving to you and be like, okay, I'm heading over. And then they'll like wait like 10 minutes or something, reply to you and say that, oh my God, I ran out of gas on the side of the road, or my car broke down. I got to take it to the shop to get it fixed. Stuff like that. One of them, who said that their car broke down on the way, sent me a picture of a woman from the side who was looking at like a tire on a car. However, I was talking to them at night, and the picture they sent was broad frickin' daylight. And I was like, seriously? You couldn't even look at the time zone of the place where I said I live. So yeah, obviously that was a fake one. They had also, I had another one who claimed to be at a grocery store near me where they broke down. And like, I just asked them some very specific details about the place, like where they took their car to, because they were at like a shop. Like, they had sent me pictures of like a guy working on a car, and I was like, oh my God, did you take it to the one across the street from that grocery store you say you're at? And they were like, yeah, I did. And I was like, oh, that's funny, because there's actually no garage across the place from that grocery store. The closest one's like, half the town away. That's crazy. right? And then they just be like, oh my God, shut up. Just come visit me. Yada, yada, yada. Come pick me up or some shit. I don't know. They were being dumb. Needless to say, if you question them about stuff, you can find out things pretty quick. But yeah, because it does kind of make sense that, if someone's come to visit you, you like kick them a couple bucks, right? However, I think that scam is stupid because it's the first time you're meeting someone. Usually it's the very first day you're talking. So why get money, right? It's very obvious that they're going to be like, you send them money and then they're going to like not talk to you again. Or they're going to come up with some excuse where, oh my God, my mom just fell down. I have to go to the hospital. And then they go over there and they're like, oh my God, babe, I'm sorry. I need more money from you now because my mom needs this medication. As soon as they get money for you, they're usually not going to leave you alone. They're going to make up some excuse why they can't meet with you and why they need more money from you. I've never given any scammers money, so I wouldn't know how it plays out after that. But I just find it very funny how a lot of them are like, yeah, give me gas. And with these ones, it's even funnier because there's so many other ways that you two could like meet up. And if you suggest them, they just shoot them all down, right? It's like, okay, what if instead of me sending you gas, what if I come pick you up, right? And they're like, no, babe, I live with people and I don't want them to find out about us. Or, okay, well, what if I come to like pick you up, but I like park a couple blocks away and then you just say you're going for a walk or something? And they'll be like, no, I can't do that. Or they'll be like, I think one of them said at one point, no, if I do that, my roommate's gonna ask to go for a walk with me or to take her kids with me or something like that, right? Like always an excuse. I've asked to come pick them up, go to their place. I've said, let's meet somewhere in the middle so that way we both use the same amount of gas to get somewhere. And just anything you can think of to like get them to run out of an excuse. They just don't. They just never do. I also went on a binge for a while where I was telling people that I'm not going to send them money before we meet in person. Because a lot of scammers on this app, And the scammers, they don't fucking care if you say that there's scammers on the app. They're like, I'm not an idiot scammer like the other ones. I'm gonna get money from this pig. So, whatever, they'll do stuff. And if you say to someone who asks you for gas or like a gift card that you said that you don't give people money online, they're like, that's not money. You're giving me gas or you're giving me a gift card. It's not money you're giving me, it's gas so I can get to you. They're being very like specific about shit. And it's just. Let's continue to the next one, which is other scams I've encountered. So these are all real scams that I've had run on me or attempted to be run on me. Because, like I said, I don't fall for them. They're obvious. I had one say that they're a soldier from a war zone who found like a suitcase or something full of money and they need to smuggle it out of the country. Yeah, very specific, very weird. This one was probably the most disturbing one that I've had because they had sent me actual pictures of like soldiers who had been like injured. We're talking like, I'm pretty sure they sent me some dead bodies. And like people who were like just bleeding and bloody. They sent me one of them, air quotes them. It was a female soldier who had like gotten wounded, something like that, and they said that they had gotten wounded in combat and stuff like that. So now they're at the field hospital. I think they said they were in. I believe it's not Ukraine. It was Syria, I think is where this one said they were from. But whatever. Anyway, they asked me for a whole bunch of stuff. They asked me for my address. They asked me for bank details. They asked me for phone number, just a bunch of identifying stuff that they could use if I gave them real stuff to fuck up my life, right? So don't do that. The next one is asking to use a picture of yours for art, and then they'll give you money for it. These are usually like, hey, oh my God, I'm hoping not disturbing you, but I just saw one of your pictures and I'm an artist and it really inspired me. So I want to use that picture as a reference for making an art piece for a client. And my company will pay you for the royalties for that painting after we have finished it. So in order to do that, I'm going to need your bank details, your email. We're going to need your phone number so we can text you about the information and then go from there. Like, oh my God. Same thing with the sugar mama, which is after here. They want to be like, yeah, I'll be your sugar mama. I'll give you like 2K every month or like 1K every month or something like that. All I'm going to need is, the name of your banking institution. I'm going to need your email so I can send you a check. And I'm going to need your full name and your phone number so we can, keep in communication, and I can have you text me all the time, and, you can, just spend time with me on the phone by texting me. All you have to do is text me, okay? You don't have to like meet up. We're not going to do anything like that. We don't have to send any nudes. I just want you to talk to me is all, And yeah, that's obviously, they're just trying to get like your name, phone number, email, and your bank information so they can use that information to probably get into your bank, stuff like that. One that I had recently, and I actually just finished with this scammer today. Sorry, I had to take a drink here. Is they say that they're living in a war-torn country and said that they want to be your wife so that they can leave, but you need to send them money because they don't have enough money to leave. So in this particular instance, the woman I was talking to, or the scammer, I should say, because they're not women, to be honest. They're just men who are using women profiles. The scammer had claimed to be in Ukraine, right? They claimed that they were a Ukrainian woman, and that, they had wanted to escape the war, and so they're looking for, love and, a good man in a good country that they can leave the country and go spend time with, right? So they're looking for someone who can be their husband, marry, stuff like that. They gave me a bunch of information about, them, and like, oh, I have these degrees. I have a degree in teaching and math and stuff like that. So I heard that if I go to America, I could find a good, decent job and stuff like that. They'll give you information. They'll pull at your heartstrings and stuff like that. One thing that they did say, however, is they made it sound like the war in Ukraine is not currently ongoing, because they said something along the lines of, if Russia invades again. And I was like, what do you mean invades again? They're already currently invading. The war is still ongoing. Or if the war resumes, I think they said something stupid like that, right? So that was, of course, obviously not the first red flag, because the first red flag was them saying the same stuff every scammer has ever said. But anyway, so they essentially needed, I think it was $1,050 specifically to get to me, because they needed, I believe it was like $850 for a plane ticket and stuff like that, and then they needed $200 to renew their international passport, is what they were saying. Just stupid shit like that, right? And I was like, okay, I'll give you that money. And just kind of led them along for a while and stuff like that, and all that good jazz, right? But goddamn, they got really mad when I told them, "Oh, babe, I can't give you the money right now." Yeah, sorry. They were like, "Oh my God, I've been just talking to you, but I have other guys who have been messaging me that I could have been talking to. I'm gonna go talk to them now." And they got really upset because I had wasted, like, I think it had been 2 days at this point that I've been talking to them, which is hilarious that I wasted that much of their time. Good stuff. Another very simple one that I don't get too often, though, is they just have no money for food or like other items. It's usually food. They're like, "Oh, babe, I don't have any food in the house and I'm starving. Can you send me like $20 for food?" I told one that they should just drink water, and they got upset with that. I was like, "Oh, babe, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm kind of broke at the moment. Maybe try drinking a lot of water. That'll fill you up." They sent me like one of those angry emojis. And I was like, "Yeah, babe, I'm sorry." And then they kept talking to me after that. And I kept like denying them money. And they got really upset over and over again. I don't know why I think they're still someone that I'm talking to. I'm pretty sure they're going to ask me for money again here the next time we talk. But anyway, other items include just other things. One that I've seen a couple of times is they say they need period products, and they'll send you like a tissue or something that is stained with blood, or probably some other thing or whatever, or they got a goddamn tissue stain with blood off the internet in the picture, right? And they're like, "Oh, babe, I really need period products." Or one of them has said, "I need uh, pain reliever because I'm having a hard time with my period right now." And I was like, "I mean, get used to it then." But I told them, uh, and they did not like that. I was like, "Babe, you're gonna have your period every month. You might as well just get used to it. You don't need pain reliever. Just suck it up. Get over it." Once I know they're scammers, like for sure, because they ask me for money within like a day of meeting me, I like to be a huge dick to them to see how long it takes them to realize that I'm, you know, not gonna give them money. But it's funny. So they'll ask you for just random stuff like that. Another thing that comes up a few times is they'll say that their parents had died in some sort of accident or something, and that they've been left inheritance. However, it's currently under the guardianship or whatever of their uncle or lawyer, and that they need you to give them some money in order to get access to it. And then when they get the money, they'll give you a cut of the money. Obviously, this is just one of those Nigerian prince scams. They're like, yeah, you give me money, I'll give you like a bunch back, right? Don't even deal with these. Just walk away. Ain't much for that. Another one that comes up sometimes is they'll say that they or a relative are sick and they need money for the hospital. One of them had said that their mother was dying in the hospital and they needed money for her medicine, and that if I did not give them medicine, her mother was going to die, or if I did not give them money, her mother was going to die. And they kept asking for money. I explained, like, hey, I do not have money. I cannot give you any money. I'm very sorry. You should go ask from relatives or friends or someone else out there. Get a bank loan. They got very upset at that. And I think the whole exchange of that ended up with me being like, I hope your mother dies for having a horrible, horrible daughter like you. Your mother, I would rather see your mother die than like have her know that her daughter is like a scammer like this or like a piece of I forget what exactly led up to it. I think they might have been one who had their oh my god, no. This one, the one I'm thinking of, I realized that they were a Nigerian scammer because they had the Nigerian country code in their Telegram profile. And it wasn't even about their sick mother at first. It was about something else. I refused to give it to them. I showed them that they were a Nigerian, and then they lost it, of course. And then, in some way to get pity from me, they were like, please, my mother's in the hospital. That's why I do this. You know, I need money to make her better. And that's where I started to say, I hope your mother dies so that she doesn't know that her son is a filthy scammer. And I think that's what I told them. Because I hate scams. I hope that their mothers do die so that they don't know that their sons or daughters are filthy scammers. Yeah, anyway, moving on to the next one. So this is some that come up very rarely, and it's usually because I say I like games to them as one of my hobbies, and they're like, oh my god, I like games too. So they'll say that they want to play games with you, however their Steam is out of money, so you need to get them a Steam card so that they can play. They clearly have no idea how Steam works, because it seems like they think Steam is some sort of like subscription service where you need to have money in it in order to play, which sense, or they'll say that their game needs money in order to play it. That's not how it works, because it's similar to the I have kids I need to distract scam, because with those, they'll also say that in order to distract my kid, I need to load them a game onto their computer with Steam. And I'm like, lady, if you've already purchased games for them, they have them in their library still. They don't need a new game. Distract them with the other one. But yeah, stuff like that. Moving on to the next one, we have more scams continued. I really racked my brain thinking about every single scam I had. There's probably some that I've not listed that are just out there because they only happened like once or twice. But these are the ones that were memorable for me. So they have inside information on a cryptocurrency, and so do what they tell you to do, so that you can get in on it too. Crypto is a very specific one. A lot of the times they're like, oh yeah, I got crypto. They'll send you screenshots of their profit that they've gained from the cryptocurrency they're invested in, stuff like that. One of them had said that they have a very new cryptocurrency that's not on the market yet. I needed to download a very specific crypto app in order to get into it. They would walk me through the process of installing the app, setting up an account, and getting the cryptocurrency that they had inside information on because their uncle is the person who created this cryptocurrency. And so I needed to invest in it because I have insider information that it's going to go up, 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 and all the currencies are going to go down, down, down. And yeah. Other than that, I haven't really taken the cryptocurrency people very seriously. From what I've seen, they're usually Asian women profiles. I think they're usually Chinese scammers from what I have seen, unfortunately. But I haven't really played with them much because they don't really do much fun replies. They always just spam about cryptocurrency, which I know nothing about or care about. So I usually just leave them alone or just waste a little bit of their time. Some of them will want you to download a specific app. I'm not talking like a chatting app like Telegram or whatnot. I would say these ones are less scammers and more advertisers. One of them that I had was a woman who said that she liked gaming and was like, have you ever heard of this very specific mobile game that had barely any downloads? And I was like, yeah, I don't play mobile games. I'm not a filthy casual. But yeah, anyway. So they want you to download like a specific app, whether it's a crypto app or it's a game, some other weird, bizarre app that they probably have a stake in, or it could be a fake app where once you put in your payment information for it, they have that information and they can scam you. Fortunately, it happens. Sometimes you'll have a scam where they say that they're an adult entertainer, and so follow this sketchy link to sign up for a private showing. A lot of these, I think I've had 3 of these happen. You'll be talking to the person. They'll be like, hey, let's go chat on this app. And that's like all they'll say. So you go talk to them on that app, usually Telegram or Zangi, and they'll send you a very risque photo. Not a nude photo, unfortunately, but it's just a risky one, lingerie or something. And they'll be like, hey, what's up? I'm a cam girl, and I just got finished with a stream. I'm going to be streaming again in 5 minutes. If you want to come watch, here's a link, and it's some like weird link that doesn't actually link to a proper like website, or it doesn't have a URL of a proper website. It's like http://tt.qs.lmnop, something weird like that, right? And it's like, fucking clicking that. And they'll say, yeah, in 5 minutes I'm going to go live again, so come watch my private showing. And it's very obvious that they're not actually a scammer. It seems to be a like bot or something, because if you ask them anything about it, they'll kind of ignore your questions and just like say a pre-scripted thing. All of them I've talked to have said the same exact things, word for word, line for line, regardless of what I've said to them. And then after a while, they just stop responding. So I believe it's just a bot that's going on, but they're out there. Just don't click weird links people send you. Easy as that one. The next one is by far the funniest scam that I've ever had. Because it's the only one that's happened of its kind. It is, they'll say that they're an FBI agent. And they're looking for scammers on the app, right? So they're saying that I'm a good guy, looking for the bad guys, right? You know, all that stuff. And they'll say they'll do background checks on people for you, so you'll know if they're scammers or not. They'll say, usually I charge for this, but the first time I'll do it free. So if you send me a picture of someone you think is a scammer or some information like their name, where they're from, I'll look them up in my FBI system and be able to tell you who they are, who they really are, and we can go from there. So I was like, okay, cool. Here, look up this person. So I sent them a random picture from another scammer that I had gotten, and they reverse image searched. It was a very obvious, like, cropped picture of like a reverse image search thing that they pulled up that told me that, oh yeah, this is a porn actress, and stuff I already knew because I already had looked up this person and found it, and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool, it's crazy. And they were like, yeah, so if you meet anyone else, it'll be $100 per person to make sure that they're legit. So it was obviously just a scam to like get you to trust them because they say they're an FBI agent and stuff like that. So whatever. That one didn't really go anywhere else because I couldn't really mess with them much more than that. The next one is one that, God, I just find hilarious. It's blackmail. So this has happened 3 times to me. Okay. They'll talk to you back and forth. They'll be like, "Oh, let's send some nudes and stuff like that." Right? At first, they don't care about the nudes and stuff. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, send me a picture of you," and you'll send pictures back and forth of like selfies, fully clothed, nothing crazy. But then they'll start turning and like, "Hey, let's exchange nudes," and you know they'll maybe send you some first or whatever. Then you'll send them one, and immediately their tone changes. They pull up this picture of the normal picture you sent to them and then the nude you sent to them side by side. And the first one I think that I had sent me that, and then had sent me a like picture of them talking to like a FBI chat bot that was obviously fake, and they had like typed in, "This person is a criminal who is like raped me," and stuff like that, some weird stuff like that. And they were like, "If you don't give me," I actually don't even know what they wanted because I was like laughing too hard at them, because honestly, getting blackmailed is one of the things that I've always wanted to have happen to me. So when this happened, I was like, "Oh," of course, like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited! This is the first time." So I was like, "Do it. Tell them. Send that to them." And that really catches the blackmailers off guard, because usually they're like expecting people to be like, "Oh my god, no, don't do that. I have a wife and kids. I have a life to live," all that kind of stuff. And they'll like do whatever. So I keep forgetting whenever I'm blackmailed to actually ask what they want. I'm sure it's money or something though. But the lesson here, ladies and gentlemen, is don't send your nudes online to people that you've never met in real life. Actually, probably just don't send nudes in general, even if you know someone, even if it's like your husband or your boyfriend or your wife, whatever, your significant other. Just don't send nudes online. Probably don't even take nudes, because anything you have online is gonna be accessible by people who aren't, you guys, whether you get hacked or socially engineered or something like that, or someone accidentally sends the wrong photo to someone, stuff like that. You know how many apps or phones have like cloud backup save stuff now, and those can get hacked. So just don't do it. But I like to go online, and when I send a nude to one of the scammers, I like to get like the nastiest looking shit ever and send it to them. And yeah, so I'll just get like a random like dick pic, for example, and that's the ones that I send to these guys, is these nudes, and they think it's me, even though it's like one of the very first results that I found on Google. So if they just reverse image searched it, they would know, like that. But they still try it. So that was the first one. They were like, "Yeah, I'll report you to the FBI," stuff like that. The second one, was similar. They had a picture of the nude that I sent them from a Google search, and then the image that I was using as the person I was, and then they had written up a tweet that was atting the FBI, the BBC, CNN, just a bunch of like news sites and like other random locations too. There was a couple on them that didn't really make much sense, but they had said something about, "This man is soliciting minors. They have raped children," just stuff like that. That would be like, "Oh no," to like a normal person, like, "Don't send that out," or someone who actually be worried about that, who would be able to. I don't care because, first of all, it's not my nude, so it's easily provable that I ain't that guy, even if the FBI or someone did come talk to me. Second of all, there's no proof of me ever interacting with children or minors, so get bent. I just did not care. That one also made me laugh, and I ended up telling them to do it, and they would say they like double down. Like they're like, "You will get your life ruined, and everyone will hate you, and you'll lose your job, and your family and friends will hate you." And I'm like, "Fucking do it, dude. Send it. Send it. Do the tweet. Do the tweet. And then a similar one, I believe I had like the third one was funny too. The third one was less serious. It was just like some guy who was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna leak your nude to everyone you know online, to your coworkers, to your family, to your friends." And I was like, "Buddy, friendo, do it." I have no online presence at all, and that's true. I don't. The only online presence I have is this persona, Plagen Shiki. My real self does not exist online in any way, shape, or form. I don't have a Facebook, a Twitter. I don't have any social media sites. If I were to take a picture of myself, or any pictures that I have, and like reverse image search them, there's no results. I've even searched my name and my hometown and my phone number and stuff like that. I've tried searching for this, and nothing comes up when you search anything about me. I am a ghost as far as the internet is concerned. I'm sure like federal agencies and stuff could probably find me, but like a normal person who doesn't have access to federal archives and stuff like that, they ain't gonna find jack shit about me. But when he said he was gonna talk to my family and friends and stuff like that, I was like, buddy, do it. I don't even care. Like, what is gonna happen? I know that's not my nude. If I do end up talking to them, and they're like, "Hey, I saw you. You had a dick pic leaked online." I can be like, "Yeah, I can show you my dick. That's not mine." You know, what are they gonna say back? Like, "Okay, show me your dick," right? Family and friends and coworkers and shit wouldn't do that. You know, I don't think anyone actually knows who my employer is. Not even my family. So good luck finding that, right? But he got really upset when I would not fall for his blackmail. He kept saying how I am doomed, how I'm gonna lose everything, how like I need to do what he says. He never actually told me what he said though, so weird. But he got really riled up about me not falling for the blackmail, and the last thing he said to me was just, "You wait and see." Like that. But I kept like doing like, "Okay, what's gonna happen? When are you gonna send it? When am I gonna get repercussions for my actions?" And he was like, "Just wait and see. You will find out." I was like, "Okay, do it. Do it, loser. Do it. Do it." Similar to a blackmail thing. I had given a. This is not like a blackmail thing. It's just some weird consequence of my actions that had happened. So I had given this one scammer a fake address and told them to come on over, and told them I was married and stuff like that, and yada yada, and that, I'm interested in hooking up with you. I'll give you, money, but I only have cash, stuff like that. And through some various dialogue, they ended up not liking me because I refused to pay them in any other way other than cash. Because my whole thing was like, yeah, I don't want my wife to find out, and if I like pay for anything online, or even if I go get a gift card, someone could see me getting a gift card and tell my wife about it. So I can only give you cash. They got upset. They were like, "I'm going to go to your house and show all this stuff to your wife. All these pictures of our dialogues of you saying you're gonna hook up with me." I was like, "Do it. I don't even live there. Do it." Pretty sure it's a house that's for sale and is empty. Anyway, I'm like, "Do it." I was like, "Hey, can you take a video of you doing that so that I can see your reaction when you realize that I'm not in that house?" I was even like, "Hey, can you tell me when you're gonna go there so I can like go there too and watch what happens? It's gonna be hilarious, right?" Yeah, it's funny stuff. The funniest thing I do want to point out before we go further about some of this stuff is I've recently started. I found a town that has like 120 people that I've started to say that I'm from. And the number of scammers that have been like, "Oh my God, I'm from the same town too," or "I'm visiting people there as well," is hilarious. It takes maybe a minute to drive through this town. And that's funny to me that they're like, "Oh my God, I'm from there too." Crazy. As someone who lives in a small town, not 120 small, but still pretty small, it is funny how many people are like, oh my God, I'm from the same town as you. And you're like, oh my God, no way. It's hilarious. Moving on to the final ones here. A couple of scams have come up about, have you ever heard of a tornado vacuum blowjob? And they'll be like, no, I've never heard of that. What is it? And then they give you like the huge graphic description about how I twirl my head while I go up and down on your thingy and like suck really hard. It's stuff. It's basically prostitution. I just really wanted to mention it because it's a very specific one that keeps coming up. I think I've seen it 3 times. But yeah, they'll be like, I'll do this for you if you send me like $50, like that. So it's the usual prostitution. But I just thought I'd mention it. Next, I've had this once, and it was a very weird one. This person wanted me to send them like a picture of my palm so they could do a palm reading, and they wanted to charge me for it. And I was like, yeah, no. That's dumb. First of all, palm reading is a scam. I wouldn't do that. Let alone, I'm pretty sure that in order to do palm reading, you need to physically see and be able to feel the palm, right? Because don't they have to like feel the like furrows in your palm and like the creases and stuff? They can't just see a picture of it. It's funny stuff. But yeah, that's one that I had most recently, and a new one. So that's great. There might be some that I've seen that I've just not listed here and stuff like that. But those are kind of the ones that I have seen and remembered. So moving on. Let's go over some examples with images of the scam. So the one in the upper right here, this is an example of that code word "allay" being used. So we were talking, they were saying, oh, okay, so tell me what kind of woman you're looking for. That's one of those things that they usually ask as well. And then they said, "allay" right there. And immediately I reply, LOL, scam or loser. And then they never replied to me after that. Funny stuff. Over here on the left, we have an example of them basically saying that they need gas money, essentially. Like, okay, babe, can you come? Can you help me with a little bit of money to get there? I really want to cuddle with you all day. And I'm like, what do you need money for? And they're like, transport fee, baby. And I'm like, if you're bored and really want to come see me, you can come over with your own money. Be like, I'm kind of broke now, baby. Please understand. So they'll, like I said, do that thing where they're out of gas or they don't have money to get gas, that kind of stuff, so that you're basically forced to get. The one here in the middle, this is one of those that have a kid scams. So I need you to grab a condom from the store unless you're clean. I would also want you to grab a game card so I can configure my son's video game and send him over to his so we can have our time when you come here so we won't get distracted by my son, baby. Yeah. Again, weirdly worded, like send him over to his so I can configure my son video game. Yeah. Weird stuff, right? Like I said, they say it in a weird way, like configure my son video game. Like buy him a video game or load funds on. The last one is just a generic prostitution scheme where it's like, so are you down to hook up or do you want to buy nudes? And I'm like, sure, we can hook up. And then they give me their price list, which is like $100 for a hookup, $50 for 1 hour of car sex, $250 for no limits. And then there's the BJ handjob, stuff like that, and $200 for overnight, which is kind of weird looking at it. Because $250 is no limits, right? That would like imply it's overnight, right? But $200 is overnight, and they'll go to any address. So wouldn't you just go with overnight rather than no limits, and then you could do no limits regardless? I don't know. It's stupid. It's a scam, so don't fall for it. But like I said, they'll use the word hookup to mean you pay them because they don't know any better. Right? For our final slide, here is the lesson of all of this, the creme de la creme of how to become unscammable on dating apps. Legitimately, the very, very obvious way to not get scammed on dating apps is don't give anyone money or gift cards online. This should be obvious. No one. Give no one money or gift cards online, okay? Unless they're like a retail store like Amazon or Newegg or some online retailer that has a reputation for selling stuff. Don't give anyone money online, okay? I don't care if it's your grandma, I don't care if it's your parents, I don't care who it is. Don't give people money online, okay? No one. If someone needs money, go give it to them in person, right? All right. Second, I think I made a typo here, because that should say ask the other person questions. If they only give vague, basic answers, they aren't real, okay? Don't trust them. Simple as that. If it's too good to be true, walk away. They aren't going to give you 200K just to talk to them, all right? Not how it works. They're not going to give you money because they drew art of a picture that they used as a reference, okay? Ain't going to do it. They're not a soldier who's going to send you millions because they found it randomly in a... If where they say they're from and what's on their profile doesn't match up, no way. If you talk on a different app and it shows phone numbers, is their phone number a legit number where they're claiming to be from? Or is it from another country, such as Nigeria with the plus 234 country code, right? And then see if they want to meet up in real life. If they don't, or they ask for money in order to meet up, they probably aren't legit. Most people who want an actual real relationship, after you've talked to them for a while, and I'm saying they aren't going to want to meet right away. No sane individual is going to be like, hey, I just met you today. Do you want to go to a coffee shop? Unless they're looking for a hookup or something, right? No one you talk to who's looking for a serious relationship is going to want to trust someone they just met to meet in real life, let alone meet at the other person's house, okay? Maybe one thing if they're going to say, hey, let's go out for coffee tomorrow or something, right? That's one thing. But if they don't want to meet up in real life, or if they're asking for money in order to meet up, they're probably not legit. Because all people who are legit and want to meet you will use their own money to meet you. Okay? That's just how it's going to go. So take these little tips here and enjoy them. I honestly do not think this video was going to be 100 or an hour and 30 minutes long, but here we are. But yeah, I've been thinking about making this video for a while. I was on and off about it. But then I just got really into it yesterday. I wrote this up while I was messing with scammers and doing some stuff. I was like, screw it. The new year's coming up. Everyone is always like, new year, new me. And I figured I would help you guys out there who are out there going to be looking for love. I figured I would present y'all with this. For those of you who are going to be using dating apps in 2025 and beyond, take all this to heart. Don't use weird apps. Don't use apps where dozens of people match with you immediately. Don't give people money online. This should be obvious. No one. Never give anyone you don't know money online. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but do not do that. Okay? Only give people money in person. Or anything. Alright? Okay? Things are too good to be true. Don't trust them. Be skeptical out there. Okay, folks? The long and short of things is you just need to be skeptical. Just use your head a little bit, and you will become unscammable too. Okay? And if you do want to mess with scammers online, well, all you have to do is go to a dating app that looks sketchy, download it, use some fake pictures, a fake location, all that good jazz, and just lie. I tell people that I am single or married or whatever I feel like at the time. I tell them that I'm a janitor, that I clean up the local school, or wherever the hell I decide to tell them that I'm a janitor at when I'm really not. And then I just make up random stuff, right? So I just do that. And it's a fun time. It's a good way to waste time when you have time to waste and you can't really do anything else that takes time. For me, when I'm doing my real job, where I'm waiting between calls for someone to call in for needing help, I can just pull up my phone, send a couple texts, and if someone does call in, I can immediately just put it down and stuff like that. I can't exactly play like a video game, for example. And if I get interrupted, pause it or something, right? So, but yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you learned a couple of things. I hope you had a couple of laughs at all the different crazy stuff I've been up to with the scammers. Yeah, good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. You all have a lovely rest of your night. Bye-bye.